Missouri man facing capital murder charges has a court hearing in Joplin. The first medical marijuana dispensary in Joplin officially opens.
Week 2 of the Derek Chauvin trial. I'm Fami Redwood with what the police chief said on the stand.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The defense attorneys for a Lawrence County murder suspect are pushing for an outside jury for the trial. This is KOAM News at 5. KOAM's Chris Warner was at the hearing today, joins us live from the Jasper County Courthouse in Joplin with more.
Well, today's hearing was a change of venue, or more specifically, for a change of jurors. Now, back in August, Sarah Pascoe of Aurora was shot and killed, and another woman was injured in Lawrence County. Now, authorities have ultimately charged 10 people in the case. 4 are charged with capital murder, 4 are charged with first-degree murder, and another is charged with hindering prosecution of a felony. Today, a change of venue hearing was held here at the Jasper County Courthouse in Joplin for one of those defendants, Gary Hunter Jr., who could be facing the death penalty. The defense pushed a case for a jury to be selected from Jackson County, Missouri, stating the local jury pool has been contaminated by media coverage from media outlets in Joplin and Springfield. The prosecution says it disagrees.
The judge took into evidence all the jury or the media type of information that they received from different media outlets. Gave it to the judge so the judge can peruse it and decide whether or not there's been too much media contamination. Our assertion is there has not been.
Now, the attorney for the defense, Thomas Jacquinot, left the courthouse before we could ask him for an interview. Now, from here, the judge will consider the evidence and make a determination on whether the local jury pool has been contaminated by the media coverage of the case. Now, that will be taken up at the pre-trial hearing, which is scheduled for May 12th. Reporting live from the Jasper County Courthouse in Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Chris, thanks. The first medical marijuana dispensary in Joplin is open. Missouri-made marijuana at the corner of 15th and Range Line opened today at 8 a.m. Right now, they're offering flower, pre-rolled joints, vape cartridges, and edibles. The owners of the dispensary have been working to get the doors open for more than a year.
To finally be open and have people coming in the doors here in Missouri in a new state is surreal to us. You know, we're extremely excited not only to give our employees the opportunity to give that medicine to the patients, but to have the patients have a shop of their own here in Joplin.
The dispensary is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're going to hear from a patient and more from the dispensary tonight at 6. Checking in with Nick Kelly now. It was a beautiful weekend, and we have a nice start to the work week. Nick.
Yeah, quite a warm day to kick off this new work week and school week, Dow, but highs in the mid-70s. We'll certainly take it, especially if we can keep the skies quiet, and we did just that. Even with partly sunny skies in place for today, we kept things dry so far, and I expect us to stay dry this evening. That being said, I am watching our next storm system ready to roll in from the northwest. That will start to bring better rain and thunderstorm chances in here over the next few days. In the meantime, though, it is still mild, if not a bit warm, but most spots between 74 and 77 degrees. We got to these numbers easily today because of a good south wind at 10 to 20 miles per hour, and that's not even including gusts pushing near 30 at times. Mild start this evening, then we'll turn a bit chilly overnight as lows drop back into the upper 50s. I think we're quiet for much of the day tomorrow, Dow, but our focus will turn to rain and even some strong severe storm chances as well. We'll break that down for you here in a bit. All right, see you soon. Thanks, Nick. The Minneapolis chief of police took the stand today in day 6 of the Derek Chauvin murder trial. Chief Madera Arredondo fired Chauvin for putting his knee on George Floyd's neck during an arrest last May and testified today that type of restraint is not approved by the police department. Reporter Femi Redwood has the latest.
The police chief who fired Derek Chauvin the day after he put his knee on George Floyd's neck took the stand Monday. Chief Madera Arredondo described Minneapolis police officer training and policies, including what it means to de-escalate a situation.
Actually, it can also include seeking community's help in a situation as well.
Prosecutors showed the jury the form Chauvin signed, saying he understood department policies and procedures and would follow them. Arredondo confirmed bystanders have a First Amendment right to record police encounters.
A patrol officer may find it irritating to have a civilian recording their activities. True?
Very true.
Is that obstruction?
It is not.
Jurors also heard from the emergency room doctor who treated Floyd and pronounced him dead.
Did you ever observe at any point in time that his heart was beating on its own?
Not to a degree sufficient to sustain life.
Dr. Bradford Langenfeld testified Floyd died from lack of oxygen or hypoxia.
I felt that at the time, based on the information I had, it was more likely than the other possibilities.
And doctor, is there another name for death by oxygen deficiency?
Asphyxia.
Chauvin's defense countered that oxygen deficiency could be the result of ingesting the opioid fentanyl, which was found in Floyd's body.
And that's one of the reasons ultimately that fentanyl is so dangerous, because it suppresses the respiratory system. Agreed?
The primary reason it is so dangerous.
Last week, paramedics who arrived at the scene of Floyd's arrest testified they could not find a pulse. Femi Redwood, CBS News, New York.
Now, before testimony resumed today, the judge addressed a report of juror misconduct off camera surrounding a social media post. The judge determined no juror misconduct had occurred. Florida's governor is declaring a state of emergency because of a toxic wastewater pond near Tampa Bay that's in danger of breaching. The Piney Point Reservoir at an old phosphate plant is surrounded by radioactive material, though officials say the water is not radioactive. Florida officials have evacuated a nearby jail and more than 300 homes. Authorities say they'll try to close this plant permanently. The bigger issue, they say, is that there are dozens of similar plants with crumbling, aging infrastructure all over the state. Up next in Health Watch, a new way to test for COVID-19.
Getting kids back inside the classroom. I'm Michelle Medina with how this wastewater robot could help reopen schools safely.
And a little later, how the pandemic has impacted the profession of pet nanny. In Health Watch, the Biden administration is touting increased vaccination numbers in the fight against COVID-19, with more than 3 million doses administered per day now. But less than a quarter of the U.S. population is fully vaccinated. The White House COVID response team says new cases have ticked up for the fourth straight week, fueled by young people spreading the more transmissible UK variant. It comes as more schools reopen and youth sports resume. A pilot program in California is monitoring wastewater to detect COVID. Officials have been using the technique to help schools reopen safely and reduce the risk of an outbreak. Michelle Medina reports from San Diego.
Students at Vista Grande Elementary School in San Diego are back on campus, ready to learn. This robot is a big reason why. It's placed on top of a manhole cover to examine the wastewater below for signs of COVID.
We have about 120 of these on campus. It just sucks up some of what it finds there, and if there's any COVID in it, hopefully we're going to see it.
Dr. Rebecca Fielding Miller with UC San Diego's School of Public Health says the concept of monitoring wastewater isn't new. It's been done on college campuses for years. This time, scientists developed a model that would work in schools.
We know that COVID, you can detect little pieces of the virus in feces, sometimes even before somebody would test positive.
The wastewater robot is part of the Safer at Schools Early Alert System, or SASE. It's being tested at 10 schools and 2 daycare centers. In addition to the robots, staff members swab classroom floors and surfaces looking for COVID. A positive reading triggers individual testing and safety protocols.
We have managed to catch a number of cases before they became outbreaks using this system.
The hope is for schools across the country to implement the program. The cost of the robot is about $3,000.
I will say it is less expensive than a diagnostic COVID-19 test for everybody on campus once a week, certainly.
And for those inside the classroom, it brings peace of mind and a safe return to school. Nichelle Medina, CBS News.
The program has been so successful in San Diego that researchers are getting international attention. The Israeli Ministry of Public Health recently reached out to see if the program can be implemented in that country. Nearly 23% more Americans died from March 2020 through January 2021 than expected. That's according to a new study in JAMA. Researchers say about 3/4 of the excess deaths were due to COVID infection. The rest, they say, reflect last year's surge in heart disease and Alzheimer's disease and delayed care for other health issues. They also suspect some COVID infections went undocumented. Nick Kelly is up next with his complete forecast. And a little bit later, how the Joplin Police Department is honoring victims of child abuse.
After a nice Easter Sunday to wrap up the weekend, we kept things nice again, but went a little warmer in terms of our temperatures for today. You can see how we look back over the past 36 hours or so. We went from the lower 50s Easter Sunday morning to highs in the mid 70s. And sure enough, we went a bit warmer, 55 this morning. And then so far, the warmest we've seen is where we're sitting right now, 77 degrees. So that is plenty warm for this Monday in early April. Even though we had some more cloud cover to contend with today. Just partly sunny skies, nothing underneath the clouds yet. And we're making doubly sure with a complete dry scan on the radar network. But with our next system on the way, this might get a bit of a workout by the time we hit Tuesday night and going into Wednesday and Thursday. In the meantime, all the cloud cover that's out there, just plenty of fair weather cumulus clouds, if I can say that cloud type correctly, but it's looking great no matter where you are, and a bit warm too. 77 to jump in the south wind to 18. We've lost the gusts over 20 miles per hour, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still kind of windy out there. With the humidity not too bad, sitting at 43%. Most areas along the east of 69, you're sitting in the mid 70s right now, but aside from 77 to Joplin and Carthage, most of the upper 70s on the board are the farther west you go from US 69. So warm no matter where you are, and we certainly did it today despite partly sunny skies because of that good south breeze at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And that does not include the gusts at times pushing near 30 miles per hour. So as far as this evening goes, we start warm, 76 by 6 o'clock, and staying mild through the evening until we drop back into the upper 50s. So a bit chilly to start your Tuesday morning out, but at least we're dry for tonight. I don't think we can say much the same by the time tomorrow night rolls on in. But not much at first impressions on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. But here's our next front, ready to roll in from the northwest, especially this trailing cold front working through the Rockies right now. That's on the way now that we're finally seeing this upper low work across the Pacific Northwest. Until it gets here, though, we'll spend another day underneath the upper level ridge, so we'll keep things kind of warm as we go throughout the day tomorrow. We just got to get past a mild evening and a bit of a chilly night, sure, with lows in the upper 50s to near 60, but we're partly cloudy to start the morning out, partly sunny during the day, and even though we've got plenty of warm air aloft as more moisture gets pulled in, I'm not going to rule out a random thunderstorm or two. Otherwise, everyone's dry for much of the day. 59 in the morning, 71 by noon, afternoon highs around 76. Quite the start Tuesday evening out, but as that cold front rolls in, here comes what could be a complex of storms that'll try and clip us to the north, and then more scattered rain and thunderstorms. And depending on how this evolves, some of us could be clipped by a little bit of a severe threat, but it's shifted now. So our far northern counties might have a low severe threat with the storms between 11 o'clock Tuesday night and 5 o'clock going into Wednesday morning. But in general, I think if we deal with any strong storms late Tuesday night going into Wednesday, the main threats will be wind gusts and maybe some hail. Otherwise, these rain chances mean 67 and dropping on Wednesday, staying near 67 on Thursday. Then we're just bouncing between the 70s and 60s going into the weekend, which on the most part, Dow, weekend overall looks okay, aside from a few storms Saturday morning.
And those temperatures, wow, they're getting up there.
Yes, they are.
Thanks, Nick. April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and the Joplin Police Department is taking part. The department set up 371 blue pinwheels in honor of every child abuse allegation made in Joplin in 2020. The blue color represents the victims of those cases. Officials with JPD want this to be a reminder to people: if you see something, say something.
Child Abuse Prevention Month is a great tool, reaching out to the Joplin Police Department. If you see something or you have suspicion of something, report it. Missouri Child Abuse Hotline, it's a 1-800 number. It is staffed all the time.
Pinwheels will be up throughout April. Coming up, a look at the pet nanny industry during the pandemic. First, though, we honor a local World War II veteran. Howard Litch served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 1945. The Galena, Kansas native was stationed in Europe, and we salute Motor Sergeant Howard Litch a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a new report shows dozens of U.S. companies paid $0 in federal taxes last year. According to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, the companies had a combined pre-tax income of $40.5 billion, but used tax breaks and loopholes to slash their tax bill. Altogether, 55 companies, including brands like Nike and FedEx, were named in that report. Air travel is soaring after the CDC eased its coronavirus-related travel restrictions. The sudden increase in passengers overwhelmed Delta Airlines yesterday. The carrier had to cancel roughly 100 flights because it didn't have enough crew members to operate them. To increase capacity, Delta allowed passengers to book middle seats on some planes, something it wasn't planning to do until next month. The pandemic has led to a surge in pet adoptions, which has a rather unusual business booming. Chris Van Cleve reports.
We're waiting for you. We're at the bottom of the escalator.
Kristen Fallon and her kids are at New York's LaGuardia Airport to meet the newest member of their family, Rex, a mini Bernedoodle puppy.
Hi, here's your new baby. He's so tiny.
But getting tiny Rex to the Big Apple was a pandemic problem.
Our breeder's in Colorado, so we couldn't exactly fly from the East Coast out to Colorado. So you need someone to transport them.
The Fallons aren't alone. Pet nanny Sue Murphy says her doggy delivery business has doubled in the last year as Americans have sought out pandemic puppies. For about $500 plus airfare, Murphy will see to it a dog gets VIP treatment all the way to its new home anywhere in the country.
The minute I get the puppy, I'm in contact with my clients the entire time with pictures and videos. It is 5:30 a.m.
On this day, that meant picking up Rex in Montrose, Colorado,
Are you ready to go?
flying to Denver, and on to New York.
It was awesome to see that he's so cute and so small.
Sue makes about 13 trips like this a month. She says she feels safe flying and her business is booming.
It's, to me, not like a real job because I just love it so much and it makes everybody so happy. So when you get home,
We'll feed him.
For Sue Murphy, working like a dog is actually a labor of love.
Let me give him a hug and a kiss.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Washington.
Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next, but then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more about a new marijuana dispensary that just opened in Joplin. Plus, Oklahoma passes 2 education bills, including one that could affect funding for area schools. And Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson vetoes a bill prohibiting gender reassignment surgery for minors. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. A mint condition Super Mario Brothers game that was forgotten about by its owner, well, it will long be remembered now for fetching a whopping record price. The unopened copy of Super Mario Brothers from 1986 sold for $660,000 at a Dallas auction. The game was bought as a Christmas gift, but was placed in a desk drawer and forgotten about until earlier this year. The auction house says the price reflects the game's limited number and rarity of condition. It pays off, I guess, in some cases to forget about that Christmas gift.
It's amazing, rare to find a game like that unwrapped. That's amazing.
Apparently so, and that's why it's so valuable.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful, rare day we're experiencing.
Yeah, and we'll keep it relatively nice again for tomorrow with highs near 76. Well, I can't rule out a stray storm. We'll watch for better rain chances tomorrow night, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. We'll see you at 6. Let's take care of ourselves and each other.